Hello, this is Emran. He is Noah Tadeli, and SBC goes for the World Cup show continues. We had 17 straight days of football in the World Cup, and this is the last before we take a 2-day break for the quarterfinals. But I mean, we had a upset on the making in the history books. Morocco knock off Spain in penalties, 0-0 draw, penalties, goes to penalties, and Morocco, when Spain misses all three penalties, Morocco are able to slot in three of their four and knock Spain out of the World Cup. I mean, it was absolute scenes. It was scenes. It was Noah.
Well, Morocco, the national team of Morocco single-handedly made their country proud. Not only did they get here to the round of 16, they have now advanced to the quarters. They outplayed Spain. Their defense was just remarkable. All of that tiki-taka just to get 0 goals. They held them throughout the whole game. And they took them all the way to penalties. I mean, I wasn't shocked. I already said I wasn't going to be shocked if they beat them, but just the fact that they took them all the way to penalties and executed is just a shout out to Morocco. It's just very respectable. Proud for that win. Hard fought.
Look, yes, this was a game in which I'm gonna talk about the positive sides in Morocco before I melt Spain. In terms of Morocco, I thought Morocco really, in a game that they know that they were not going to have much of the ball, I thought they were able to be number one, solid defensively. They did not give much. They did not give up that many good looks till the end, where like Spain were just putting a lot of numbers forward and getting crosses in the box and trying to get like a 50-50, win a second ball, get it in the box. Apart from that, they didn't really concede that many clear chances. And Morocco had a couple, one in the first half to end the first half. And in the second half, they had one or two. And extra time, they had a couple on the transition moment where number 21, I don't even need to know his name, completely sold them out multiple times in transition counterattack moments. Apart from that, I thought Morocco actually played really well with having little of the ball. They were able to create more clear cut chances than Spain. And yeah, for me, Morocco broke history, of course, and they did all of Africa proud. They did all of Arab proud, and they were honestly deserved the winners at the end because Spain is the same old story for Spain. A lot of possession, a lot of passing, almost 1,000 passes, um, a lot of ball movement, but no penetration whatsoever, no verticality, no getting in behind the back line, no getting the ball in dangerous, lively areas until when Nico Williams came on, that was probably the most lively player they had throughout the entire game. Nico Williams was the only player that actually got the ball, took someone on one, and put in a ball in the box, or took someone on and freed up space for other people. Apart from everyone else, it was so passive from Spain. It was like, oh, why don't you create the moment? No, you create the moment. No, you create the moment. And the amount of times they had a chance, 20, 25 yards away from goal, to just hit a strike. I mean, you don't have to score the perfect goal every single time. Shoot it once. It's not going to hurt you. Busquets, I remember Busquets had it literally at the top of the 18-yard box.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the ball, take a strike at goal. It was like the Moroccan players didn't even worry about it. It was a non, it was not even threatening. They didn't even threaten to take a shot. Um, it's the same old story with Spain when they get eliminated in these Euros. A lot of possession, a lot of sideways and backwards passing, but no penetration, not being able to have the decisive ball or the decisive finish. It's the same old story. Like when it happened to the last World Cup against Russia, exact same thing. Now this World Cup here, literally two World Cups in a row, they lose on penalties in games that they could have won if they had that decisiveness, if they had the penetration, if they had the verticality. It's the same old story with Spanish football, and it's making me think the Spanish need to, the Spain need to, and it's two different coaches, I might add. This is not a coach thing. This is not a coach's thing. Is there some revitalization that needs to happen in Spanish football? Who know, I don't know, because two World Cups in a row getting eliminated at the exact same thing, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what Spain is doing. Last Euros, first two games, they struggled to score goals. They struggled to get anything on the board. Why? The exact same issues. A lot of possession, but no penetration, no verticality. And that's the same old story with the Spanish national team. Pedri, Busquets, Xavi, the amount of times they got the ball And instead of looking forward and getting the ball into dangerous lively area, getting the ball into the box where or taking someone on and freeing space for someone else, then hitting the ball. But instead, all they did is when they got the ball is receive the ball, dribble a bit, pass it sideways. Receive the ball, dribble a bit, pass it sideways, forward, sideways, sideways, backwards, sideways, backwards. You can't win in that way. Despite this is not a game of possession. This is a game of getting goals on the board. In Spain, they didn't get any goals on the board. And look, if they didn't lose, if they were ended up moving on in this game in penalties, well, guess what? Now next game comes what? You're gonna have to figure out how to score goals then. So I mean, look, Spain has a collective. They need to figure out how to, because like playing against Costa Rica, where the talent gap is wide, and Costa Rica for some reason left so much space open is one thing. But when you're going up against a defense that hasn't give up, that gave up one own goal, but besides that hasn't gave up any goals this tournament, it's gonna take some real creativity to break them down. And I'm not saying the Spanish players are not creative, but there's no decisiveness there. There's no penetration there. There's no taking someone on one and freeing space with somebody else. There was one person that did that game, and it was Nico Williams, who was only on the pitch for like 25, 30 minutes. So I think Spain kind of did it to themselves, and it's the same old story, and something needs to change. And I don't think it's the manager. I think it's just the culture of Spanish football. Possession should not be the most important thing. There got to be there was no off-ball movement. There was no in runs in behind. It was all like, it was so pedestrian. They were just like, let's move the ball from one side to another, one side to another. It's the same thing every single time. For me, look, obviously it's a great win for Morocco. A great win for Morocco. And they played very, very well. They were the better team. But Spain, they did it to themselves, it's the same old story with them.
I want to piggyback off of what you said about Spain. It's like they pass just to pass. It's like there's no urgency to score. Like the amount of times they could have done something if they just made a decisive decision to score, they would have won this game. And then by the time extra time was done, it's like they just had nothing. I don't
And then
understand. They
extra
had
time,
no.
the urgency came in extra time. They actually got players forward, and like getting to penalties is not what we want. We're gonna get bodies forward. We get crosses forward. But at that point, they're gonna be bunkering down. It's too late. Your players are tired. Like that, it should have been that sense of urgency earlier in the game.
And when they got to penalties, it's just they're the more experienced team, yet their more experienced players could not make their penalties. It's just poor penalties. Not to discredit Morocco's goalkeeper, he did a very good job, but it's just very poor penalties taken.
Yeah, the penalties were poor and all that, but honestly, Spain, when you look at the players that they have, when you look at the quality they have on the pitch, the fact that they let it get to penalties is their mistake. And you can't rely on penalties. Penalties is a gamble. Last time when they reached this stage, they played against Switzerland. Very similar thing. They were able to get a breakthrough, but they still struggled to get that second. What happened? It took the penalties. They got lucky that time. They were able to win in penalties. This time went the other way, and well, they're crashing out of the World Cup.